Let us go with this example. When you just consider in the open chain, we have only one carbon atom in the form of CHO. But in the ring system, we have 6 carbon atoms. Because the ring system contains more number of carbon atoms, we have to treat it as a derivative of cyclohexane. So this is cyclohexane, then go on numbering the carbon atom of cyclohexane ring to indicate the position of the principal functional group and the side chain. You know, between CH3 and CHO gets a priority. That is why the carbon atom of cyclohexane carrying principal functional group CHO should be given the lowest number 1. Thereafter, we have to number the carbon atoms of the cyclohexane ring in such a way that lowest sum rule is obeyed. In other words, I have to start numbering in anti-clockwise direction. This is 1, here you have 2, and here you should have 3. Now, when you try to write the IUPAC name, what I can say, it is on the third position we have methyl group, so it is 3-methyl, and here it is a cyclohexane. And you have noticed that this CHO group is not counted with the parent compound we have chosen. That is why for CHO, I cannot use the secondary suffix AL. It has to be carbaldehyde. So why should be carbaldehyde? Because the carbon atom of the CHO group is not counted with the name of the parent compound. That is why it is a cyclohexane 1 carbaldehyde, or if I simply write carbaldehyde also, it is understood that it is 1. So that is the IUPAC name of the first compound. I will go to the next one. If suppose CH3 group were not to be there, this compound would have been called benzaldehyde. Benzaldehyde is the accepted IUPAC name, or if you still want more specific IUPAC name, I will call it as benzene carbaldehyde. So without CH3, I can call this molecule either as benzaldehyde or I can call it as benzene carbaldehyde. Then the carbon atom of the benzene ring carrying CHO group should be given number 1. Then this has to be number 2. Now I can provide 2 IUPAC names for this particular compound. So what are they? On the second carbon atom we have methyl, so 2-methyl. Then this is benzene, 2-methyl benzene. Then on the first carbon atom we have carbaldehyde group, so 1, it is carbaldehyde, or we have one more IUPAC name for this compound. It is called 2-methyl. This entire molecule is called benzaldehyde. So 2-methyl, it is benzaldehyde. Moving over to the next example. Here the question is whether benzene should be taken as a parent hydrocarbon, or you have to consider the open chain part should be considered as a main compound. For that, generally we go for counting the number of carbon atoms. So ring system has 6 carbon atoms, whereas open chain has 4 carbon atoms. In all other cases, we would have considered benzene as the parent hydrocarbon. But you have to notice that in the open chain, you have a principal functional group. So what does the rule say? Even if the open chain contains lesser number of carbon atoms, if it contains any principal functional group, that should be chosen as the parent hydrocarbon. So I repeat, CHO is the principal functional group that is present in the open chain. That is why the open chain containing principal functional group, though it contains lesser number of carbon atoms, must be chosen as the parent hydrocarbon. So once we say that, you see this is the first carbon atom, second, third and the fourth carbon atom. So on the third carbon atom, we have a phenyl group. So when we write the IUPAC name for this compound, on the third carbon atom, we have phenyl group. So it is a 3-phenyl and we have 4 carbon atoms here. So root word has to be but. All of them are connected by means of single bond, and then on the first carbon atom CHO, so I call it as 3-phenyl butanol. Going to the next example, here again the same condition. The ring system has 6 carbon atoms, whereas open chain has only 2 carbon atoms. The open chain has a principal functional group CHO, but the ring system has only a substituent bromo group. And you know that the principal functional group CHO gets a priority over substituent bromo group. That is why, you know, CH2CHO should be chosen as parent hydrocarbon, though it contains only 2 carbon atoms, which is less than the number of carbon atoms present in benzene ring, that is 6. So which is the parent hydrocarbon? It is a CH2CHO part. So I'll number this open chain part. This has to be 1 and this has to be 2. In other words, the root word will be eth because there are only 2 carbon atoms in the main chain. And the 2 carbon atoms are connected by means of single bond. So ethane and CHO group is there, ethanol, ethanol. But in ethanol, on the second carbon atom, we have this group. So how am I going to name this particular group? You know that the carbon atom of the complex side chain, which is connected to the main chain, should be given number 1. So this has to be the first carbon atom. I repeat, the carbon atom of the complex side chain which gets attached to the main chain should always be given number 1. Then to indicate the position of bromo group, I'll go in the clockwise direction. So it has to be 2. So how can I specify the name of the complex side chain? You see, on the second carbon atom, we have a complex side chain, and the name of the complex side chain will be, on the second position, we have bromo group. So I say it is a 2-bromo, and you have a ring system. So it's a 2-bromo-phenyl. So that is the name of the complex side chain. And then for the main chain, I'll call it as ethanol. So this is the IUPAC name. We shall start from IUPAC names of ketones. This is the first example. So in this case, I have to start numbering from left to right. So this is the first carbon atom, second, third, fourth and the fifth carbon atom. So root word should be pent, and all the carbon atoms are connected to one another by single bond. That is why it has to be pentane. And the second carbon atom contains the principal functional group CO, that's a ketone. For ketone, the secondary suffix is -one. So on the second carbon atom, we have a ketonic group. That is why IUPAC name of this compound should be pentane 2-one. Here again, the E here is removed because it is followed by the vowel O. So IUPAC name of the first compound is pentane 2-one. Coming to the second example, so we have to write the structural formula, complete structural formula, then writing IUPAC name becomes easier. So this compound will be CH3CH, thereafter you will have CH3, it is C double bond O. Same way on the other side you have CH3 and CH3. So both these compounds are one and the same. What is the IUPAC name of this compound? I can start numbering from either left to right or right to left. So if it is left to right, this is the first carbon atom, second, third, fourth and the fifth carbon atom. You know, on the second carbon atom we have a methyl group, on the fourth carbon atom again we have methyl group. So the IUPAC name of this compound should be on the second and the fourth we have two methyl groups. That is why we call it as 2,4 dimethyl, and 5 carbon atoms are there. So it is pentane, and on the third carbon atom we have a ketonic group. That is why it has to be 2,4 dimethyl pentane 3-one. Moving over to the next example, common name, you know, it is acetophenone. In fact, acetophenone itself is the accepted IUPAC name. If you want more specific IUPAC name, I am going to consider the open chain as the parent chain, because the open chain contains the principal functional group C double bond O. And this phenyl group will be treated as a substituent, because though it contains more number of carbon atoms, it does not contain the principal functional group. Now when we want to number the main chain, the carbon atom of the functional group should be given number 1 and this has to be 2. So on the first carbon atom we have a phenyl substituent. So I'll write 1 phenyl. And there are 2 carbon atoms, you know, it's a ethane, and if you are very specific you can indicate the position of the ketonic group, that is 1. So it's a ethane, it is 1-one. So what is the IUPAC name of this compound? On the first carbon atom you have a phenyl group. There are 2 carbon atoms, ethane. On the first carbon atom we have a ketonic group. That's why one IUPAC name of this compound is 1-phenyl ethanone or 1-phenyl ethane 1-one. Let's go to the next compound. For the next compound, benzophenone itself is the accepted IUPAC name. And in the next case, if you consider, you see this is a cyclohexane. Cyclohexane contains the principal functional group, ketonic group. That is why I have to consider cyclohexane as the parent hydrocarbon. And you know, the carbon atom involved in the principal functional group should be numbered 1. And then I have to follow lowest sum rule. In other words, I have to start numbering in clockwise direction. So this has to be carbon atom number 2. So this is carbon atom number 1, the other one is carbon atom number 2. So what is the IUPAC name of this compound? On the second carbon atom we have methyl group, so 2-methyl. And parent hydrocarbon is cyclohexane, so it is cyclohexane. And the carbon atom of CO is considered in the parent hydrocarbon. That is why I will go for the secondary suffix -one. So it is a 2-methyl cyclohexanone. 2-methyl cyclohexanone. So that is the IUPAC name of the compound. So we'll continue with this structure. Again, it's a symmetric diketone. There are two ketonic groups here, so diketone. I'll number the carbon chain either from left to right or right to left, one and the same, because the molecule is symmetrical. So 5 carbon atoms are there, root word has to be pent. Carbon atoms are connected only by carbon-carbon single bonds, that is why it is pentane. The second and the fourth carbon atoms are in the form of principal functional group ketone. For principal functional group ketone, secondary suffix is -one and it is repeated 2 times, that's why I call it as dione. Here E of ene is retained because E is followed by a consonant D. Moving over to the next example, here there are 2 functional groups. One is COOH functional group, the other one is C double bond O functional group. Since COOH gets a priority over C double bond O, COOH should be the principal functional group and this C double bond O should be treated as a subordinate functional group. That's why for C double bond O, we will make use of prefix. So while numbering this carbon chain from right to left, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Root word has to be pent, but before that on the third carbon atom we have ketonic group as a substituent. For that I'll consider the prefix as oxo. For CO group the prefix is oxo. So the third carbon atom it is oxo. So in the main chain we have 5 carbon atoms. So it is a pentanoic acid. 3-oxo-pentanoic acid. Going to the next structure, so we shall just expand the structure and write. We have CH3C, here it is CH3. Thereafter double bond, we have CHO, it is C double bond O. Thereafter we have CH3. In this case, when you try to write the IUPAC name, you have to name it, you have to number it from right to left because C double bond O is the principal functional group. So this is the first carbon atom, this is the second, here third, fourth and the fifth one. Now, in this case on the fourth carbon atom we have a methyl side chain. So it is a 4-methyl. We have 5 carbon atoms. It has to be pent. After the third carbon atom we have a double bond. That is why pent 3-ene. And then in the second carbon atom we have ketonic functional group. That is why it is 2-one. So IUPAC name of this compound should be 4-methyl pent 3-ene 2-one. Going to the next example, I have represented it by bond line formula. You are familiar with the bond line formula. So this corner will indicate one CH3 group. This is CH2, C double bond O. This is CH2. This has to represent a carbon atom and these two are methyl groups, and here what we have is methoxy group. It is a CH3O, methoxy group. Then when I want to number this carbon chain, I have to do it from right to left. So this has to be carbon atom number 1, this is the second one, you have third, fourth, fifth carbon atom. Right? Then this is going to be the 6th carbon atom. So what are the side chains or the substituents you have to consider? You have a methoxy substituent here and here you have a methyl side chain. So between methyl and methoxy, Methyl and methoxy. Methoxy should come first alphabetically. Where is it present? It is present on the 5th carbon atom. That's why I write it as 5-methoxy. Then on the same 5th carbon atom we have a methyl group. I'll write it as 5-methyl. So between methoxy and methyl, methoxy comes first because here if you consider O and here if you consider it is Y, and O comes before Y because first 4 letters are the same, meth. Then I'll go to the total number of carbon atoms. So 6 carbon atoms, hex. All of them are connected by single bond, hexane. And the 3rd carbon atom will be in ketonic functional group. That's why it has to be 3-one. So it's a 5-methoxy, 5-methyl, hexane, 3-one. Here you have to be slightly careful while selecting the longest continuous chain of carbon atoms. The general tendency is we consider these two as methyl group, which is not correct. So when I say longest continuous chain, one of these carbon atoms, either this carbon atom or this carbon atom should be counted because they form a part of the longest continuous chain of carbon atoms. Going to the next one. Here the ring system itself contains a ketonic functional group and a double bond. That is why the ring system will be the parent hydrocarbon. And when you number the parent hydrocarbon, ensure that the principal functional group C double bond O gets the lowest number. So I'll start numbering like this 1, and then I'll move in the clockwise direction to satisfy lowest sum rule. So this has to be carbon atom number 2. So this is 3 and we have 4. This is 5. Now it is very clear on the 3rd carbon atom we have a methyl group. So it is a 3-methyl. Then we have cyclopent. And in cyclopent ring we have a double bond, and that double bond is present after the 2nd carbon atom. That's why I write as cyclopent-2-ene, and the 1st carbon atom is in the form of ketonic group. That's why I say 2-ene, 1-one. So what is the IUPAC name of this compound? It's a 3-methyl, it's a cyclopent, it's a 2-ene, 1-one. So this is the IUPAC name. With this example, we have 2 functional groups. One is CHO, another one is C double bond O. And we know that CHO group gets a priority over C double bond O. That is why CHO is the principal functional group and C double bond O becomes subordinate functional group. In other words, for CHO we provide secondary suffix, whereas for C double bond O we provide prefix. While numbering this carbon chain, ensure that the principal functional group CHO gets the lowest number. In other words, I start numbering like this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Here you can make out that on the 2nd carbon atom we have a methyl group, and on the 5th carbon atom we have a oxo group. So what is the IUPAC name? Here you have methyl, here it is oxo. M comes before O. That is why while writing the IUPAC name, it has to be 2-methyl and 5-oxo, altogether 7 carbon atoms. So hept, all of them are connected by single bond. That's why it is heptanal. So what we have here is a 2-methyl and 5-oxo heptanal. And going to the last example, you know this is carbon atom number 1, this is carbon atom number 2. So this is nothing but benzene, and on the first carbon atom we have carbaldehyde, on the second carbon atom again we have carbaldehyde. So IUPAC name of this compound is, it is a benzene 1, 2. It is a dicarbaldehyde because the carbon atom of CHO is not counted with the main chain. That is why it is called benzene 1,2-dicarbaldehyde. So that is the IUPAC name. Let us talk about structure of carbonyl group. This is carbonyl carbon, and this carbonyl carbon undergoes sp2 hybridization. So for 1 mark, the carbon atom of the carbonyl group undergoes sp2 hybridization. We know whenever there is sp2 hybridization, we have to get 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals. Out of those 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals, 1 sp2 hybrid orbital overlaps with the p orbital of oxygen, resulting in the formation of sigma bond. So this is the sigma bond. How is it formed? It is formed by head-on overlapping of one of the sp2 hybrid orbitals of carbon with p orbital of oxygen. Same way, remaining 2 sp2 hybrid orbitals of carbonyl carbon will undergo head-on overlapping with the orbitals of carbon atom of the groups, resulting in the formation of the sigma bonds. So here again, this has to be sigma bond, and this is also a sigma bond. And we know that whenever a carbon atom undergoes sp2 hybridization, it will be left with one unhybridized 2p orbital containing unpaired electron. So this is the unhybridized 2p orbital, unhybridized 2p orbital of carbon. And this unhybridized 2p orbital of carbon undergoes sideways overlapping with the p orbital of oxygen, resulting in the formation of pi bond. So this will be the formation of pi bond. So how exactly pi bond is formed? By sideways overlapping of unhybridized 2p orbital of carbon with one of the 2p orbitals of oxygen. As a result, if I write the structure, you see between carbon and oxygen, you have one sigma bond. Similarly, between carbon and oxygen, you have a pi bond. Now, if you measure the bond angle, you know whenever there is a sp2 hybridization, bond angle has to be 120 degree. So this is 120 degree. So this has to be 120 degree. And this is again, it has to be 120 degree. In other words, the carbonyl group has a planar structure. It has a planar triangular structure with bond angle is equal to 120 degree. I have written the resonating structures for carbonyl group. The first resonating structure is a neutral resonating structure indicated by resonating structure A. The second resonating structure is B. It is a dipolar ionic resonating structure. When I say that in the same structure you have both positive and negative charges. Now, you know oxygen atom is more electronegative than carbon. That's why the shared pi electron pair is pulled more towards oxygen, and this is responsible for the polarity of the carbonyl group. I repeat, the polarity of carbonyl group is because of higher electronegativity of oxygen with respect to carbon. That is why the dipole moment of aldehydes or ketones is definitely greater than that of ethers. I repeat, the dipole moment, which is a measure of polarity, is greater for aldehydes and ketones when compared with ethers. Then, when you look at the dipolar ionic structure, you can make out that a positive charge is present on carbonyl carbon. That is why this particular point can be easily attacked by an electron-rich species, or in other words, this is an electron deficient site, and electron deficient site is called electrophilic center. The same way on oxygen, because you have higher electron density, this will behave like nucleophilic center. We shall start from general methods of preparation of aldehydes and ketones. First few reactions, whatever I am going to discuss, you have already studied either in the previous chapter or in grade 11. As a revision, I will quickly go through those reactions one by one. First, we will start from alcohols. How to convert alcohols into aldehydes and ketones? Obviously, by following oxidation reaction. How to represent the equation for these oxidation reactions? First, I'll start from primary alcohol or CH2OH. So it's a primary alcohol. I'll subject it to oxidation. It loses a molecule of water. It gives you aldehyde containing same number of carbon atoms. Aldehydes you get, and it contains same number of carbon atoms. Now, the oxidation reaction does not stop at this stage. It continues further because aldehydes undergo oxidation readily, forming respective carboxylic acid. We get RCOOH. So, the final product obtained here is a carboxylic acid with same number of carbon atoms. So, this aspect you have studied under alcohol phenol chapter. So, if any substance undergoes oxidation to give you carboxylic acid containing same number of carbon atoms, then the starting substances can either be aldehyde or it can be primary alcohol. For example, if I start from ethanol, CH3, it is a CH2OH. I'll start from ethanol and I will subject it to oxidation. So initially I get acetaldehyde or ethanol. IUPAC name, ethanol. And this will undergo further oxidation. It gives you acetic acid or it is ethanoic acid. Now, same way, if I start from oxidation of secondary alcohols. So when I say secondary alcohol, RCHOH, it is R dash. So I start from secondary alcohol. I'll subject this to oxidation. It loses a molecule of water and this forms a ketone. So we get ketone and this ketone contains same number of carbon atoms. And then we know that ketones do not undergo oxidation so easily. If you still want to oxidize it, you have to go for drastic conditions, then you will get carboxylic acid, no doubt, but it contains lesser number of carbon atoms when compared with starting secondary alcohol or ketone. If I provide an example here, the best example is I'll start from isopropyl alcohol, propane 2-ol, or it is isopropyl alcohol. I'll subject it to oxidation. It loses a molecule of water. It gives you acetone CH3COCH3. So product obtained is acetone. Now the question is, which all oxidizing agents can be used to bring about this oxidation reaction? So various oxidizing agents used to bring about this oxidation are, I can make use of potassium permanganate. I can also make use of potassium dichromate, or I can also make use of CrO3, chromic oxide can be used. In fact, chromic acid has to be used in aqueous medium to oxidize alcohol into aldehyde or subsequently to carboxylic acid. Now the important limitation of this reagent is that if I start from a primary alcohol, I've already told you initially it gets oxidized to aldehyde and subsequently it further undergoes oxidation to give carboxylic acid. Now, if you make use of these powerful oxidizing agents, primary alcohol directly gets oxidized to carboxylic acid and it is not possible to stop the oxidation at aldehydic stage. So if I have to stop the oxidation at aldehydic stage, I have to make use of one of these two oxidizing agents. First, I can make use of PCC in presence of dichloromethane as a solvent. PCC. It is called pyridinium chlorochromate, and about this you have already studied under previous chapter, pyridinium chlorochromate. So this will stop the oxidation of primary alcohol at aldehydic stage. The next one, instead of that, I can also make use of chromic oxide, but this chromic oxide has to be used in non-aqueous medium to stop the oxidation state at aldehydic stage. The second method by which one can prepare aldehydes and ketones starting from alcohols is by dehydrogenation reaction. You have already studied about dehydrogenation reaction in the previous chapter, alcohols, phenols and ethers. It is just the repetition of the same. You know, dehydrogenation catalyst can be copper at 573 Kelvin, or one can make use of silver catalyst at a temperature of 523 to 573 Kelvin. But if it's asked in the board examination, always concentrate only on copper catalyst at 573 Kelvin. The reaction is carried out in the vapor phase, where vapors of primary alcohol or secondary alcohol are passed over heated copper catalyst at 573 Kelvin. The products obtained are aldehyde and ketone respectively, the byproduct being hydrogen. The advantage of this reaction is that the byproduct H2 is a reducing agent, and we know that in the presence of reducing agent, formed aldehyde cannot undergo further oxidation to carboxylic acid. Or in other words, by dehydrogenation reaction, it is possible to stop the oxidation of primary alcohol at aldehydic stage.